sports fans probably know the name Richard Sherman now. The football player was widely criticized this week for his spontaneous comments following Sunday's NFL playoff game. But now that criticism is under scrutiny for perpetuating racial stereotypes. WGBH News reporter Adam Riley has more.
Kaepernick, end zone, Crabtree, broken up, picked off!
That brilliant play by cornerback Richard Sherman sent the Seattle Seahawks to the Super Bowl. Right away, Fox Sports' Aaron Andrews sought Sherman's reaction.
Well, I'm the best corner in the game. When you try me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you're going to get. Don't you ever talk about me.
Who was talking about you?
Crabtree, don't you open your mouth about the best.
Andrews took that baffling outburst in stride, tweeting that Sherman gave a candid response seconds after an emotional game. But others were less understanding.
Wow. Okay, that was towards Crabtree now.
And the real outrage came on Twitter, where Sherman was called everything from a thug to a monkey and worse. Meanwhile, some commentators saw a deeper meaning to Sherman's rant.
What I worry about is the overall culture.
But Sherman also had his defenders, like Forbes' Tommy Tomlinson, who wrote, "If you stick a microphone in a player's face seconds after he made a huge play, you shouldn't be surprised if he's amped up." Sherman himself made the same point.
But on the field, we're playing a very barbaric sport. When I'm still in that zone, then it's not going to come out as articulate, as smart, as charismatic, because on the field, I'm not all those things.
Sherman also noted that his tirade came after he tried to shake opponent Michael Crabtree's hand and got that instead. Still, this isn't the first time Sherman's combativeness has raised eyebrows.
I'm better at life than you.
Okay.
So
all right, that's fair.
Now, as the backlash to Sherman gets a backlash of its own, the Seahawks are gearing up for the pre-Super Bowl hype. Expect Sherman to be the most quoted player in town.
That's funny. I was watching this, and my initial reaction was I didn't get it because I didn't know what he was talking about. And I thought Aaron Andrews, in a sense, handled it quite well, asking him what he was talking about. But he's going to be on CNN tonight. And I have to say, in the aftermath, and I saw the press conference later, and I thought it seemed so totally reasonable, but it was once again that instant reaction by largely social media that was pushing back on him. Because if anybody had just waited an hour or 2 hours or whatever it was, I think they would have saw the real guy.
This is a football game where they go out practically trying to kill each other every week. He just deflected that pass brilliantly. The guy caught it. I mean, whoever said this was seconds after he just helped send his team to the Super Bowl, the guy's all revved up. You saw him in the interview afterwards. He went to my alma mater, Stanford. He's a smart guy. He came up in a very tough situation. He's done wonderful things in the community. I think this is a classic case of people, making a big deal out of something that was just the ebullience or maybe the over-the-top, whatever you want to call it, seconds after a football game ended, that he ended.
Well, it's wonderful that we have the news cycle that we have, so we can see these two Richard Shermans in those two interviews. To me, that was the brilliant revelation from all of this, is that he can be so different in a day's time. Yeah. And the articulate Richard Sherman who came out later, the straight-A student at Stanford, and all that was there. And then when you saw him in the barbaric mode, as he self-described it, it was amazing to see that difference. The one thing we haven't talked much about is the center part of that before the two sides of it, which was the amazing hatred spilled out and racism spilled out online, which became part of the story. And probably shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. I mean, Richard said that it surprised him. But I don't know what to make of that, except it didn't surprise me. That's the way Twitter works.
Well, sadly, the Twitter response is the least surprising aspect of this whole thing. The sheer racism that was expressed by so many people on Twitter was just nauseating to read through. Beyond that, I don't really know what there is to add, really. I agree with everybody. The game had just ended in spectacular fashion. He was in the middle of it. It's not surprising that he's going to react the way he reacted at that particular moment. And it did not take long before, he kind of came down from his post-game high, and we saw the real Richard Sherman. And, he's just a smart, articulate guy.
And it was very personal. That was the thing, is that he made this personal. He had this history Crabtree.
No one knew what the heck he was talking about. That was the problem.
Well, I happened to catch it live. I'm not watching the game. Yeah, I was waiting. I was waiting for the I was waiting for the next thing, and he was on. I was like, and I was first just taken with Aaron Andrews, who was so calm.
Yes.
What'd he say? I just love that. Anyway, I wish I could be that calm in that moment. So I knew that there's something else, and I am not at all surprised by Twitter. In fact, there are some stats out there now about the level of racism in sports Twitter, particularly. So this is part and parcel of that. What annoys me is that people had to know that he was from Stanford.
That's right.
To feel okay about him. Well, he must be okay. He graduated from Stanford, and Richard is very aware of all of that because he's got to bear the brunt of that at all times. So, I mean, he's clear about it. I think that the fact that he had the personal thing with the guy and the guy wouldn't be respectful to him afterwards, I can see why he'd go crazy. I resent people calling him a thug, and I resent people thinking that because he went to Stanford, he's okay. He's our guy now.
Everyone that went to Stanford is superior caliber.
Yeah, okay.
All right, well, let's see what happens after the Super Bowl.
He went to Northeast.
Okay.